I'm Teresa Didvig, Director of the Well Balanced Pianist. Healthy movement is a core component of the Well Balanced Pianist programs. Of course, our main focus is healthy movement for playing the piano, but you might be surprised by how similar playing the piano is to typing. And some of our students have told us that typing is uncomfortable for them, so I developed these strategies to help them out. I hope they help you too. When you sit down to type, you want to sit with your spine long and your head and neck extending up from your spine, not pulling forward or back. You can think of the crown of your head as being suspended from the ceiling by a string. You don't need to be ramrod straight, and please don't pull your shoulders back in order to have a good posture. You just want to feel comfortable and open and long. Now our spines often get curled out of shape, so we can look at our laptop screens. If you're using a laptop, look down with your eyes only, or use a monitor. When I'm home, I use this monitor, so I don't need to bend to look at my screen. If you have pain or tension in your shoulders or neck or back, I'd like to recommend a series of short Feldenkrais lessons called Relaxercise. Relaxercise is especially designed to help people who sit a lot to develop flexibility. If you want more personal attention, you can always ask around to find the best bodywork practitioner in your neighborhood. At the Well Balanced Pianist, we've benefited from practitioners of a lot of different disciplines. Feldenkrais method, Aston patterning, Alexander technique, Iyengar yoga. What seems to matter the most is that the practitioner is gifted and experienced. So if you want more personal attention on your shoulders, neck, and back, ask around to find the most gifted and experienced bodywork practitioner in your neighborhood. It's good to have a chair whose seat height and seat tilt can be adjusted. Adjust your seat height first so that your forearms are parallel to the floor when your hands are in their natural shape. Now I just want to be clear about what I mean by that. Sometimes people think that I mean their hands should be flattened out so that even their fingers are straight with the forearm, and others make a big effort to relax their fingers so that they're drooping from the wrists or the main knuckles, and you don't have to do either one of those things. Just allow your hands to keep their natural shape, which you can always find by looking at your hand when it's hanging to the side, and give them the liveliness that allows movement to occur. Your fingers will feel light and comfortable. Once you've set your seat height, you want to make sure you're sitting with your feet on the floor. If your feet aren't solidly resting on the floor, just slip in a little footrest so your feet can rest down. Otherwise, you'll have to lean back, which is a problem because the keyboard is in front of us. Adjust the seat tilt to help your heels rest on the floor, and so it's easy for you to move from your hip joints. A lot of us lean forward from the waist or the shoulder, neither of which is meant to act as that kind of fulcrum. But the hip joint is perfect at it, so you want to make sure to sit so that your hip joints can move easily. Sit far enough from the keyboard for your elbows to be slightly in front of your center line, and sit forward on your chair so that enough of your thighs are on the chair for you to feel settled, not perched and awkward, but also so you're not forced to lean back. Again, leaning back is a problem because the keyboard is in front of us. If you still feel forced to lean back, also check the tilt of your chair. It shouldn't be tilted back. It could be straight or slightly tilted forward. And check the shape of your chair. Sometimes chairs have a depression in the back that forces us to lean back or slump a little bit. If your chair has such a depression, change chairs or insert a little cushion to eliminate that depression. The very best thing you can do to be comfortable while typing is to move in your natural shape, or as I also tend to say, your natural alignment. Pulling yourself out of alignment can feel uncomfortable or even painful, and no movement will feel good if you make that movement out of alignment. On the other hand, if you make a point of retaining your natural shape while you move around, you will find your way to your own best movements. This applies not only to typing, but also to everything else you do in the course of the day, like cooking or eating or brushing your teeth. So I'm going to show you now how to identify your own natural shape so you can move in alignment. You can see the natural shape of your hand and forearm if you look in a mirror as your hand and forearm are hanging to the side. Turn first so you can see the shape of the top of your wrist. You'll see that the top of your wrist is even with your hand and forearm. We have a little range of movement up and down in the wrist, but this shape that you see in the mirror is the shape you want to see while you're typing. Now turn so you can see the side-to-side shape of your wrist. This shape is a little hard to describe, but a friend of mine says it's like a flower. There's a stem and there are petals on each side. There is no straight line on the inside or outside of the wrist, and no deep angle either. We have a little range of motion up and down in the wrist, but we have at most a tiny, tiny, easy tension-free range of motion side to side in the wrist. So this shape you see in the mirror is the shape you want to move around in. Once you've identified the natural shape of your wrist, experiment by moving your hand and forearm around here and there while retaining that natural shape of your wrist. You won't have to hold your wrist rigid in order to keep that shape, although some people may feel they need to remain a little more toned than usual. But it's not a tense feeling. As a matter of fact, if you always move your hand and forearm with your wrist in its natural shape, you'll hardly feel your wrist at all. Now take a look at your fingers. First, you want to notice that your fingers are attached to your hand in a very particular way, and particularly that there's no straight line from the forearm to any finger. I have to pull my hand out of shape to make my fingers straight with my forearm. Then notice that all your fingers are different lengths and that you have two sets of curved knuckles and one set of more straight knuckles. This shape varies from person to person, of course, but you will always feel best if you move with your fingers in their natural shape. I hope these ideas are helpful and make typing easier for you. If any of these ideas does not make typing easier for you, just let that idea go. It means it doesn't apply to you or you need more personalized instruction. And please be in touch with me at wellbalancedpianist.com if you have any questions.